Sir, we will wait for 2 minutes more and then we can start.
Yes, Kusum, no problem. Whenever
Okay,
you tell me, I'll start. Just I'm ready to start.
okay, sir.
Uh, just you let me know. I'll just start. Okay.
Okay, sir. Good evening, everyone. So, we are going to start with our second session, and the session will be taken by Dr. Jagdish Chand Bansal, and Sir is going to take ant colony optimization. Sir, now we can start. Sir, we can start now.
And now Kusum, can you hear me? Uh, Kusum, can you hear me now?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay. Kusum, should I start?
Sir, we can start, sir.
Okay. Good evening, everybody, and I hope my screen is visible to everybody.
Yes, sir, it's visible.
It's visible, right? Okay. So actually, today I have 1 hour for explaining the ant colony optimization algorithm, and then I thought that to best utilize this 1 hour for the ant colony optimization, let me explain this with the use of a numerical example. So I'll take the majority of the Mr. Sanjay Kumar Padi. Can you please mute yourself? It is there is a background noise from your side. Can you please mute yourself? Sanjay Kumar Padi. If you can hear, please mute yourself. Or Sanjay Kumar Padi, can you please mute yourself? Or can you mute him? Okay. Now we can better hear, right? So I thought that the best way to explain any algorithm, to understand any algorithm, is a numerical example, a practical implementation of the example. So majority of the time for this lecture, I'll consider to solve an example using ant colony optimization, and through that I'll explain that. Let me just start with some basic history, basic introduction behind the ant colony optimization, and then of course I'll come to the implementation part. So what I say that ant colony optimization, of course, last time I mentioned about the market share, that 80% of the market is covered by the ant colony optimization and particle swarm optimization. So it is one of the top swarm intelligence based algorithm, which was introduced by one Italian scientist, Marco Dorigo, in 1992. In 1992, he proposed this algorithm in his PhD thesis. Of course, the majority of the work is also due to him nowadays. Originally when it was introduced to find an optimal path, to find this optimal path in a connected graph, which is a discrete optimization problem. I hope you understand that there is a graph. Suppose it is a connected graph. And suppose it is a point A and it is a point B. Then if you want to reach from point A to point B, then I hope you understand that this is the shortest path. And this may also be the path. But it is not the shortest. This may also be the path, but it is not shortest. The shortest path is this. And therefore, to obtain this shortest path in a connected graph, of course, the problem is not so simple. It is not 4 or 5 nodes are there. If you have a large number of nodes, large number of available options there, then this problem becomes a NP complete problem. And this is a discrete optimization problem, because this is one solution, and this is, I hope you understand that why it is a discrete optimization problem. Let me take another example. Suppose your graph is this, right? And suppose this is your point A and this is your point B. Just I randomly drawn anything, not planned, right? Then I hope you understand that suppose this is your point C, D, E. Then ACD, ACB is the shortest path. Another path may be ACEDB. This is also one path. To reach at B from A to B. This is also one path. Now you can understand that the possible solutions, number of possible solutions, this is one, this is another one, and ACDB, this is also another one, So number of possible solutions are finite, or they are not in continuous values. They are not continuous values. They are finite number of values, countable number of countable. Then it is a discrete optimization task. It's not a continuous optimization problem, and therefore finding the shortest path in a graph is a discrete optimization problem. And when it is a discrete optimization problem, last time I mentioned that ant colony optimization is one of the best choice. In fact, a best choice, right? Just I keep myself safe when I say it is one of the best choice, because for few cases there may be, for few problems, there may be other algorithms which may work better than this algorithm, right? So this was originally introduced for the for finding the optimal path, minimum path, or maximum path, whatever the problem is, to find the optimal path in the connected graph. And most of the time, ant colony optimization also applied to the discrete optimization problem. And also I say that it also performs very well in this class of optimization problems. Right. So the algorithm is inspired by the foraging behavior of ants. I hope this very obvious, and I think last time also I mentioned about this, that it is inspired by the foraging behavior of ants. How the foraging behavior of ants works, let me quickly tell you this, and then I will come to the example, right? How the foraging behavior of ants works. And let me tell you, you need to listen this also very carefully, so that the same concept we will apply to solve the problem or for the algorithm, right? So let me just explain you quickly the foraging behavior of ants. Remember, for example, artificial bee colony algorithm, which is based on the honeybees foraging behavior. PSO is based on the foraging behavior of birds or the flocking behavior of birds. Spider monkey optimization algorithm is based on the foraging behavior of monkeys, spider monkeys. Similarly, this is based on the foraging behavior of ants. Now, what is special in this foraging behavior? Let me tell you why it is so special that an algorithm should be developed based on this foraging behavior, right? So there is a nest. There is a nest of ants. So ants are here, and this is your food source, or the point B, point A, point B, whatever. So ants wants to reach from here to here. And as I told in the connected graph, the same is here. There are many paths available. So this is the one path. This may be the another path. This may be the one path. This may be another path. So you can see here, there are many choices of paths, right? Many choices of paths, and every path is a solution, but not the optimal solution. Optimal solution is this. Let me tell you, this is your optimal solution. This is your optimal solution. You can see here that this path is the optimal solution. Now, how out of many paths, out of many available paths, this path, how to select this path? And let me tell you, ants always find this shortest path. They always move from point A to point B in the shortest path, right? So what is special in those ants which makes them to find the optimal path or shortest path? So oh, sorry, not this one. What makes them to find the optimal path, right? So what happens when any ant moves from here? When any ant moves from here, it comes at this junction. Suppose this is one junction. This is one junction where the ant has to take a decision. Suppose the one ant is here. One ant is here and it wants to move in this direction or in this direction. Which direction I should go? Suppose this ant is thinking in this way, then which is the most optimal path or most optimal direction for the ant? So the first answer is initially when she has no information. Then it will go into any other direction. Any direction means randomly choose any direction. So initially it can choose this direction or this direction, any direction. Suppose it had chosen this direction. No problem. It had chosen this direction and it will keep on moving. Here again there is a junction. And here it has to again take a decision. This ant has to take a decision whether I should move in this direction or in this direction. So again, this ant will suppose has chosen this path, then okay, no problem, and then she will reach here. She will also return using the same path. Suppose she will also, so initially randomly she can choose any path and there is no harm in this, right? It is exploring the search space. It is exploring the all possible solutions, right? So she has taken, suppose, this path. There now there may be another path, sorry, another ant. There may be another ant here. Now another ant may be here, another ant may be here, and she may choose, since the probability is equal. Remember, if there are two possibilities, then the probability is 50-50%. Suppose this is the junction, it is coming from here, and it has to, so 0.5 probability is here, 0.5 probability is here. And if there are three paths, 1 by 3, 1 by 3, probability is 1 by 3, 1 by 3, equal probability, randomly, right? So randomly they have chosen any path. So now you just think that if 100, it is expected that if 100 ants are moving or 1000 ants are moving, then you can expect that 500 ants will move in this direction and 500 ants will move in this direction, right? Now, during all this movement, ants has to remember that ants has to remember a rule. Ants have to remember a rule that whenever they move to any path, they will deposit a pheromone. They will deposit a pheromone on this path. Pheromone is a kind of a smell. Pheromone is a kind of a smell which they will put here on this path. Pheromone is a kind of a smell which they will put here on the path, and this smell is guiding factor to the other ants. So whenever they will move the pheromone on this path, so this one ant is moving on this path, so she's depositing some pheromone here, and some ants are moving through this path, they are also depositing the pheromone. And this pheromone has a property, property that it evaporates. It evaporates with time. Means evaporation rate is proportional to the time. Evaporation rate of pheromone is proportional to the time. What does it mean? Let me tell you. The proportional to the time means if the path is longer, then the evaporation rate will be high. High evaporation rate means the concentration of evaporation will be less. Concentration of the evaporation will be less on this longer path, and the evaporation rate on the smaller path, shortest path, will be small. Why? Because more and more ants are covering this path in less time. So in the less time, more and more ants are going and coming, right? So more pheromone will be deposited on this path, and therefore the concentration on this path, the shortest path, will be higher as compared to the longer paths. And when the concentration is higher, then whenever a new ant comes here, suppose a new ant comes here, then it will check that the concentration, suppose here is the concentration and here is the concentration. Then I now tell you that initially I told you that the probability 0.5, but now after one iteration, when there is some guiding factor is there, when there is some information already available on the paths, then the information, then the probability, then this probability is proportional to the amount of pheromone or the concentration of the pheromone, how much concentrated, right? So if on this path, since this path is a shorter path, so more ants are going on this path, so the amount on this path will be higher. And if this path is higher, then the probability of this is higher. It means if the amount on this path is higher, then its probability may be 0.7 and its probability may be 0.3. And this is completely based on the amount of pheromone. Now you just think of a situation that after few iterations, more and more ants will keep on going on this shorter path. So more and more now all the ants, the probability on this path is 0.3 and probability of this path is 0.7. Let me tell you, I told this 0.7, 0.3 doesn't mean fixed, proportional to the concentration of the pheromone. It may be 0.65, it may be 0.4, it may be 0.3, whatever. Wherever the more amount of pheromone, more ants will go on that path. So iteratively, slowly, more and more ants will keep on going on this path. So more and more ants will join this shortest path. And at last, what will happen next time? The ants who had chosen, suppose the ants who have chosen this longer path, the ants who have chosen this longer path will also not join. They will return, and next time when they come at this junction, they will not join their own longer path. They will see that my other friends have identified this shorter path, because more and more ants going on this path, and therefore C will also join this path. And after few iterations, you will see that only the longer path will remain, the shorter path will remain, and the longer paths will disappear. Longer paths will disappear. No ants will be going on. Of course, after few iterations, even the single ant will not go from the longer path. All the ants will go from the shortest path. Now, actually, what happens? I tell you that even if you will put some, suppose this is the food source and this is the nest and this is the shortest path, and if just imagine that if you will put some let me make it even here, right? So if you will put some obstacle here, then they will not choose this path. They will not choose this path. This path they will not. Instead, they will choose this path, because you can see here, this is the shortest path. This was his shortest path. So since there is an obstacle here, so they cannot go. Then they will not choose this longer path. This path is this direction. Sorry, this direction is not correct. This direction is not correct. This direction is better. So they will choose this direction. Even if you will put, you can do this experiment. So ants are so intelligent, and this intelligence, let me tell you, comes not only due to one ant. This comes due to collective behavior, collective efforts, and therefore I always call that this is a collective intelligence. So swarm intelligence is a collective intelligence. It is not the intelligence of the individual, intelligence of the group of individuals, right? And therefore ants are surviving even after so many years. So let me now, I hope I have explained the foraging behavior. So now let me come to the example, and just feel free to ask the questions, even if there are some. I will try my best to explain it in as simple way as possible, and just concentrate for next 20 minutes. I think 20 to 25 minutes I will be able to complete this example, and I need your full attention. It is not directly like PSO. It has not that kind of Euclidean update equation. Let me tell you, it is not a continuous optimization problem. Look, in PSO or in SMO or in ABC, what kind of equations were there? X equal to X plus H, but not in this. However, this is a swarm intelligence based algorithm, but since X equal to X plus H was possible because your X belongs to some space. Your X belongs to some space, -5 to 5 or so on. If the if it belongs to some space, so it can take, if suppose X is here and you are adding this X, H to this X, then this X plus H will be maybe within the search space. But here your X is one of the discrete values. It is one of the discrete values. And if you will use this kind of equation here, X equal to X plus H, then this X1 then this x1 may not be, suppose b you have taken and b plus h you have taken, then this b plus h may not be sum of a, c, d, e. It may be something value between c and d, which is not the feasible solution of your search space. You know, so in discrete optimization problem, you need to keep the feasibility also, right? Feasible solution. You cannot take any solution out of this search space. So x1 cannot be out of this search space, and therefore you need to modify x1 in such a way that the modify x in such a way that x1 is within this search space, and therefore the update equation is not like this. Update equation is not like this. It is a Euclidean update equation, right? Euclidean update equation. So in PSO, in ABC, in SMO, in differential evolution, you can see this kind of update equations because they are primarily for the continuous optimization problems. But this is for discrete optimization problem, and therefore you have to develop a strategy in such a way that the updated solution belongs to this search space, and for that this foraging behavior of ants is very intelligently used. Really I tell you that very intelligent use of this foraging behavior in the development of this algorithm. And let me start with this example. So in this example also we have considered a discrete optimization problem. The objective of this example is to explain the working of the ACO in one simplistic way. Understanding of this example will enable you to understand the ACO, not only to understand the ACO, but also to code it. You can, in your whatever the favorite language, programming language, you can convert this to your own favorite language, right? So the example is explained in 4 terms. I'm going to explain in 4 terms. You can prepare your code also in these 4 sections, right? So first of all, you define a problem, then you define the ACO parameters, ant colony optimization parameters, and then you initialize the solution. Initialize the solutions means, I hope you understand, suppose this is the point B, this is the point A, and this is the one possible path, this is the one possible path. These are the possible paths. Suppose these are the possible paths, then you will take, okay, I'll take initially this solution, this solution, this solution. So this is my initial random solution, set of initial random solutions. So this is your path P1, path P2, path P3, path P4. And therefore, your initial swarm, this is your initial swarm. Then you will call that this is my initial swarm. This is my initial swarm. Then you will call that this is my initial swarm. So this is called initialization. And then the main loop. Then the main loop means how the ants will do the foraging, means how they will put the pheromone, how the ants are going to affect the other ants, or how the ants are going to give the impact to other ants, so that high concentration paths are to be followed, right? All this is to be done in the main loop, right? So let me start this. So let me start. And the first part is the problem definition. So here in this example also, I have taken the same example, same problem, x1 square plus x2 square. If you remember, in PSO, I took the same problem. And here, if you remember, in the PSO, x1, x2 was belonging to -5 to 5. This was your search space because it was continuous search space, but here the search space should be discrete, and therefore I have taken these values. Now please remember that x1 x2 can belong to the possible values of x1 is 2 or 3.2 or 6.5 or 7 or 9. What does it mean? That x1 can take only these 5 values, only these 5 values. X1 can take only these 5 values. X2 can take 1.2, 3, 5.9 and 6. Means x2 can take only these 4 values, and x1 can take only these 5 values. Only these 5 values, only these 4 values. I hope you understand. While here x1 and x2 can take infinite number of values, and that's why I say that it is a finite set of feasible solutions. Now you think of a situation that how many possible solutions are there. Why this problem is said to be a NP complete? This kind of problem are said to be NP complete problems. Let me tell you. Actually, what happens? What are the possible solutions? X1 can take, sorry, X1 can take a value 2, X2 can take any value 1.2. This is one feasible solution. Then X2 can take 3, 5.9, and it can take value 6 also. Right? 4 solutions. And then now again, X1 can take value 3.2. If it can take 3.2, then again it can take 1.2, 3.2, 3. You just imagine it's a 2 variable problem, and the possible values of X1 are 5, X2 are 4, and you can see how many possible solutions are there. How many possible solutions are there, out of which you have to find only one solution. Means out of which you have to find only X1 X2 X3, one optimal value of X1 and X2. What should be the value of X1? What should be the value of X2? So that from these values, this function is minimum. This function is minimum. I hope, since this problem is a toy kind of problem, very easy problem, just for explanation purpose I have taken this problem, so you can understand very well that what is the optimal solution. Let me tell you, since this is a problem of minimization, so X1's minimum value and X2's minimum value can work. So I hope you can understand that this is your optimal solution. Now, with the help of ant colony optimization, we are going to get this optimal solution. We are going to obtain this optimal solution. So let me tell you how to obtain this optimal solution using ant colony optimization. Okay. I hope this concept of the values of X1 and X2 and discrete values we can understand. Sometimes you may feel that it is explaining too much, but just for the completeness, I'm slow in explanation. So it is clear that X1, X2 can attain values from a finite set, and therefore it's a discrete optimization problem. And this is a minimization problem because we need to minimize. So now the ACO parameters, section number 2. In the same way, you should code also. Whenever you want to program your algorithm, you should do the same thing in the same way. Like, first of all, define the problem properly. Number 2, the ACO parameters or the algorithm parameters. So here you can see the dimension of the problem. It is 2. Dimension of the problem means number of decision variables, X1 and X2. Swarm size, let us take 5. Let us take 5. Means 5 potential solutions we will take at a time. I told you, like, this is your A, this is your B, and there are many paths available. Suppose there are many paths available from A to B, out of which we will consider only the 5 solutions at a time. 5 random solutions at a time, right? So this 5 is a swarm size. Like in PSO, you remember, I took the 5 swarm size. So 5 swarm size here I took, and there is a ACO parameter. ACO parameter is also there, which is 0.5, rho equal to 0.5. Evaporation rate. What is the evaporation rate? Right. This is a parameter. It I told you that from when the ants move from one point to another point, the pheromone evaporates. So with what rate it evaporates? So let me define it. Evaporation rate is 0.5. Now, how this 0.5 works, I'm just coming to that. So just hold on for that. I'll come to that and will explain how this evaporation rate works. Now let us come to the third part, that is the initialization. Initialization, how to initialize the solutions, right, for this problem. So initially, each ant can choose any path. Initially, each ant can choose any path. So now let me just explain you using this example. I hope this figure is visible. So here is your home and here is your destination. I told you that X1 can take 5 values. These are the 5 possible values that X1 can take. X2 can take 4 values, right? So your initial solution, initial set of solutions can be anything from here. Means X1 can be any value. X2 can be corresponding X2 value can be anything, right? So let me just explain you that what I have taken. Uh, so total ants can five possible values are for x1 and four possible values are for x2. Ants choose any path based on the pheromone amount, like pheromone amount, how much pheromone is there already on that path, right? So tau ij, let me tell you, just please make yourself comfortable with these notations, that the tau ij is the amount of pheromone from, this is your point A, this is your point B, and suppose this is the ith solution, ith solutions jth dimension. This is ith solutions jth dimension, means there are many variable problem, so it's a two variable problem. So j varies from 1 to 2 and I varies from 1 sorry I is the here I is the variable number, so sorry, I is the variable number, not j is the variable number, I is the variable number, and j varies from the possible amount of values. So if I equal to 1 means if it is the first variable, I equal to 1 means if it is the first variable, then j can vary from 1 to 5 because 5 choices are there. And if I equal to 2 means x2, then j can vary from 1 to 4, right? So j equal to 1 to 4. Clearly total possible solutions are 5 into 4. I hope I have I deleted that, but here I mentioned about that how many solutions are there when x1 can take value 2 and x2 can take 4 number of values, then x1 can take another value, so 5 into 4. I hope you understand that total possible solutions are 20, out of which we have to find out one optimal solution. So here the search space size is 20. And for practical problems, this search space is billions, right? So that means a lot of large search space size is there. We need to find out one possible solution out of billion possible solutions. So here 20 solutions are there, out of which we need to find one optimal solution. So tau ij, I already explained that amount of pheromone on the path if ith variable attains jth value. Tau ij is the amount of pheromone if the path, suppose this is your point B, this is point A, and on this path the amount of pheromone is represented by tau ij if this variable is xij. If this variable is xij, means this path is represented by the variable xij. So tau ij equal to 1. Yeah, initially we will keep, I told you that initially if the ants is coming here and the junction is there and both possible paths are there, then initially the probability is same. And I also mentioned that this probability is proportional to the amount of pheromone. Probability is proportional to the amount of pheromone. And therefore if the pheromone is equal, the probability will be equal, and therefore to keep the probability same, we need to keep the amount of pheromone also same. So initially I will keep tau ij equal to 1 for all paths, means for all 5 paths, 5 swarm size I have taken. So for all these 5 paths I will take tau ij equal to 1, right? So for all I equal to 1 and j either 5 or 4. 5 when I will take 1 and 2, then 4. Equal amount of pheromone implies the equal probabilities of the selecting a path. I hope now, till now, everything is clear. So here is the all representation of all possible solutions. So let me tell you that how this figure is representing possible solutions. So suppose this is your value of x1, then x2 can take anything, right? So one possible random solution may be this. I'm just retracing it. This is one path. So this is one solution. And what is this solution represented as? 2, 6, right? So this is one solution, right? So similarly, initially we will consider 5 solutions. Initially, we will consider 5 solutions for initialization. Right. So now let me start with this. Now for each aunt, the probability of selecting position update, how they will update the positions. For each aunt, the for each now for each aunt, the probability of selecting path xij choosing a value of variables is calculated using this formula. I told you that the probability is proportional to the amount of pheromone. Pij is proportional to the tau ij, and this is the formula. And this formula is very simple to understand. Let me tell you that this formula is not unique. You can define this formula at your wish also. You can modify this formula, or you can customize this formula. But this is the one most simple approach for this formula, that the probability is proportional to the tau ij, and tau ij value may be anything. So in order to scale those values within the range 0, 1, probability need to be 0, 1. So just probability and divided by the sum of all pheromones, then it will be of course scaled between 0 and 1. Now if this is high, if this is higher, probability will be higher. If this is less, probability will be less, because in division it is same. Initially, since I have taken tau ij equal to 1, so sigma tau ij will be equal to 5, right? So here tau ij equal to 1 and sigma tau ij equal to 5. So it is your 1 by 5, and for all j equal to 1 to 5. When it is x equal to 1, remember it is x equal to 1. When x equal to 1, the possible number of options are different. When I equal to 2, when it is the second variable, possible options are different, right? And therefore, for I equal to 2 means P2j, for P1j, it will be tau 1j divided by sigma tau 1j. And here this j varies from 1 to 5, but for P2j, it varies from 1 to 4. It varies from 1 to 4 because j for second variable choices are only 4. Deliberately, I took an example in such a way. I took this example. I put the values of second variable, first variable changed, so that you should not get confused that all the variables should have the equal number of choices. No, it is not possible. It is not possible, right? And therefore, the different number of choices are there, and they will be tackled like here. So here the tau ij divided by 4. So because 4 choices are there for j equal to 2, right? So it will be 1 by 4. So initially what happens here, suppose there is a junction. Suppose here there is a junction. Then for what does it mean? That for if it is I equal to 1, for selection of first variable, it has 5 choices. The aunt has 5 choices. For I equal to 2, it has 4 choices. For I equal to 2, it has 4 choices. These are the 4 choices it has for I equal to 2, right? So this is the meaning, and therefore the probability is 1 by 4, 1 by 4, 1 by 4, 1 by 4. Here the probability is 1 by 5, 1 by 5, 1 by 5, 1 by 5. I hope I'm clear up to here. Now we will apply the roulette-wheel selection to choose a specific. But by chance this time the probabilities are equal. But what can happen in subsequent iterations? What will happen, that the probability may be 1 by 2, maybe 1 by 4, and then 1 by 4. Means suppose there are 3 choices, then the probabilities may be like this, because it has higher probability as compared to these two probabilities, and therefore which path is to be chosen by this aunt? The aunt is here, one aunt is here, and this aunt has to choose which path, this path, or this path. And I told you that the selection of path will depend upon the probability, and how this probability is implemented in the algorithm, that is called the roulette-wheel selection. I hope this is already explained you in either genetic algorithm or in ABC. in both the algorithms, this roulette wheel selection is already applied. So if it is not explained, do not worry, or if it is explained, just bear with me. I'm just in 1 minute, I'm explaining this. Roulette wheel is actually a wheel which is used in casinos, right? In casinos, what happens, like this is divided into equal number of parts, and out of which few numbers, suppose this is a 1 2 3 4, few numbers. If you say that I will win if there is a even number, so I hope you understand that whether that after rolling of this wheel, ping pong ball is there, so they in the casino they put the ping pong ball, right? So they put, if the ping pong ball comes to any of these four parts, you will win, means your probability is very high. But if another person who is also betting on this roulette wheel says that I will win if the one comes, if the probability, if the ping pong ball comes to this one, only one part he has taken, so his probability is 1 by 9, while your probability is 1 by 4. Is it okay? Yeah, it means your probability is higher as compared to his probability, and therefore his reward will also be higher, right? Because probability is less of winning, so losing probability is high, his losing probability is high, so his reward will also be, means if he will bet for 1 rupee, he may get 9 rupees. If you will get if you will bet for 1 rupee, you may get only 4 rupees, right? Accordingly the reward is also. So in this roulette wheel, more the area, more the probability. I hope you understand. You have covered more area, and therefore your probability of winning is more. You have covered more area, right? Or you can say that if this part, if your ping pong ball comes to this part, then I will win. It means you have divided this wheel into these number of parts. Means if it will come to this area, then you will lose, and if it will come to this area, then you will win. It means your probability of winning is 1 by 2. Your probability of winning is 1 by 2. So I want to say that more the area, more the probability of winning, right? More the probability of winning. That's why the roulette wheel selection. It means this is the same thing here. More the probability, more the chance of selection of that path. So roulette wheel selection. In this roulette wheel selection, how this roulette wheel selection is applied to this problem, let me tell you. Now, of course, initially, since it is the initial case, I have to take the random solutions, random sum initially in the initial phase, and therefore I have given the equal probabilities. Equal probabilities means here I have given this path equal probability. All the paths have the equal. This probability, this path has the pheromone amount 1. If this is the path, then also it has the pheromone amount 1, so probabilities are equal, right? Just to choose the random solutions, because initially I have to choose the random solution. I don't know which path is the good path, right? So in that roulette wheel selection, how we will do, you understand that the cumulative probabilities for x1, since all the parts have equal, means for x1, I'm going to divide this into 5 areas, equal parts, 1 by 5, 1 by 5, right? So equal parts, I have divided this 5 parts. In 5 parts I have divided this, and it means the entire area from 0 to 1, is divided into 0 to 1 by 5, and then I hope you understand, this is 1 by 5, this will be 2 by 5, 3 by 5, 4 by 5, 5 by 5, right? So 0 to 1, 5, I have defined it. So the probability of winning in this area is 0 to 0.2, in this area 0.2, 0.4, just in decimal points I have written this. Similarly for x2, only 4 choices are there, and therefore I will divide this this roulette wheel into 4 parts. Instead of 5 parts, I will divide this into 4 parts. 4 parts, and here 0, 1 by 4, 2 by 4, 3 by 4, and 4 by 4. Of course, 0 and 1, they will coincide, right? So here 0 to 0.25, right? I hope you understand now. So now these are the cumulative probabilities that we have created, right? Now look, means we have divided the entire roulette wheel into small parts. Now the time of rolling the ping pong ball on this, right? So how to roll that ping pong ball in terms of algorithm. Remember, that's the physical structure. Roulette wheel is a physical entity, and that ping pong ball is a physical entity. You roll that on that, right? Randomly, you do that. Just throw the ball, and in which area it moves. So accordingly, you will win. So here also, now I'm going to throw that ping pong ball. So how to throw that ping pong ball? Let me tell you. In order to choose that specific path, which path is to be chosen, the 5 choices are there for this. Sorry, 5 choices are there, right? 5 choices are there here. So in order to choose out of 5, 1, right? Out of 5, 1, and out of these 4, you have to choose. Sorry, you have to choose 1, right? So in order to choose that specific path using the roulette wheel selection, we generate a uniform random numbers in the range 0, 1, right? Because I have divided the roulette wheel in the many parts from 0 to 1, right? In many areas, sliced. That roulette wheel is sliced in many parts. For each aunt and for each variable. For each aunt and for each variable. How many aunts are there? 5. 5 aunts are there. I have taken 5 sum size, and for each solution, 5 solutions are there. X1, X2. Let me call it like X1 and X1, X2. So this is your second solution, and suppose X2, and then this is your third solution. So similarly, like 5 solutions we have. So for each variable, X1 I have for each variable X1 and X2, for each variable X1 and X2, I have 5 values I have to choose, right? So 5 choices. This is one solution. This is another solution. So 5 solutions I have to choose for each aunt, each variable. Here 5 multiplied by 2. 5 is the swarm size. 2 is the dimension. Equal to 10 random numbers I have to generate. Means 10 values I have to select. 10 values I have to select from this roulette wheel. From this roulette wheel, I have to select 10 values. So how to select those 10 values? Let me tell you just quickly. I will generate a random number between 0 and 1, R11.
So can you explain this again? How these 10 values?
Yes, just give me a minute. Let me. Okay, so the entire range for X1 is divided into 5 parts. For X2, it is divided into 4 parts. That's clear. Now for each variable, I have 5 choices. Means for X1, I have to choose 5 values. X1, X11, X12, for second solution, X1 for third solution, X1 for fourth solution, X1 for fifth solution. So X1 I have to choose 5 times. For initial population, I'm generating initial population. So 5 times I have to generate this X1. Similarly, for X2 also, I have generated 5 times. X2, X2, 2, X2, 3, X2, 4, and X2, 5. 5 solutions are there. 5 random solutions I have taken. Please do not get confused with the number of choices of 4 and 5. X1 choices are 5. Number of choices for X1 are 5. Number of choices for X2 are 4. Please do not confuse with this. Swarm size is 5. I mean, I have taken this as the initial swarm. This is first solution, X1, X2. Second solution, X1, X2. Third solution, X1, X2. Fourth solution, and X1, X2. Fifth solution. So this is the 5 solutions. So I want to tell you that I have to select these 4 values randomly in that roulette wheel. So for x1, I have divided this into ज़्यादा हो गया 6 parts हो गए, sorry. So I have to divide this into 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry. So 5, 3. Okay. So these 5 parts I have for x1. I have divided this into 5 parts. Means this x1 will be selected out of these 5 values. Whether for, I hope you understand now that for if it comes. And these different parts has different choices. Means if I will select this part, if I will select suppose this part, it means its value is suppose 9. If this part is selected, then the x1 value will be 7. If this part will be selected, then the x1 value will become 6.5. And if this part, then it is 3.2. And if this part, then it is 2. Similarly, for x2, I have divided 5 values of x2 I have to select. Remember, 4 choices are there. What does it mean? That I will divide this into 4 parts, and 1.2 is there, 3 is there, 5.9 is there, and 6 is there. Means if this part is selected, and what is this part? This part is obtaining this part is also easy. If my generated random number is between 0 and 0.25, then x2 value will be 1.2. If my generated random number is between 0.25 to 0.5, then its value will be 3. So 5 random numbers I will generate for x2, and 5 random numbers I will generate for x1, and I will choose values accordingly. So suppose my first random number for first variable r11, first variable's first random number, first variable's second random number, suppose it is 0.16. Suppose I have generated 0.16. What does it mean? That my 5 solutions are there. So this value, let me just list all 5 solutions here. So my first value, since it is 0.166 and it lies here in this 0 to 0.2 in this range, and therefore my first variable will be 2. My now second solution, I will generate, suppose it is 0.7, then you can see here that it is 0.4, it is 0.6, it is 0.8. Now 0.7 is in this range, and therefore my second solution's first value will be 7. Now for second variable here, if my R21 is suppose 0.9, then 0.9 this is your 0.75 and this is your 1. So 0.9 in this range, and therefore first solution second variable will be 6. Now suppose R22, second solution second selection, suppose it is 0.3, then 0.3 is in this range, and therefore my second solution second variable will be 3. In this way I will generate the solution. So this is your first random solution, this is your second random solution. First and second random solution means my first path. This will be my first path in this. This will be my first path. My first path means 2, 2 and 6. This will be my first solution. X1. This will be my first solution. And suppose my another solution for X1 is this and X2 is this. So this red is your X2. I hope now I have explained these things, right? X1 and X2.
Understood, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, let me take just blue pen just to avoid the black and black, right? So just I took the blue pen. Okay. I have taken the 5 random values for X1, 5 random values for X2. Clear? And accordingly, I will generate the values. Suppose R11 is this. So it is in this 0.0 to 0.2, and therefore X11 value is 2. R12 is this, which is in this range, and therefore X14 is 7. X12 is R13, and therefore X12 is 3. Sorry. Similarly, R13 implies third solution's first variable is X12. So 3.2 means this variable, this I think this I wrote wrongly. Sorry, it is 13 and this is your 14. Sorry, huh? Just notations. There is some confusion in the notations, so just please bear with me. These are my class notes which I prepared. Similarly, this and then variables according, and yes, in this what can happen? Yes, in this what can happen that there may be a random number, which is two random numbers can come in the same column, and in that case, suppose your x11 is value is 2, x11 value is 2. Here you can, I have listed here. Similarly, we'll do the same thing for R, and here you can see here that this x11 first solutions first variable is 2 here, and here also it is 2. What does it mean? That your first random variable and fifth random variable both comes in the same part of that roulette wheel, and therefore that value repeats. So yes, that can repeat, right? Similarly, for second variable, you can see here that 5.9 comes 3 times. It can happen, right? So these are the 5 random solutions. So this is your first initial set, right? And then objective function values you will calculate. Objective function value, just put these values in this objective function, just put the, and you will get this, right? So nothing special, out of which you will calculate the best value and the worst value. You can see here, this is your max and this is your min, and therefore this is your best and this is your worst, right? So best and worst values, these best and worst values will be required. Remember, these will be required in order to update the solutions, right? In order to update the pheromone. Update the solution means update the pheromone. Update the pheromone. What is updated? Pheromone is updated. Okay. So here you can see that this green part is the best solution and this red is worst solution. So here also I mentioned it. So at this stage, we'll check if all the ants follow a single path. Now, what is the stopping criteria? That is important here. A stopping criteria that if all the ants started to follow same path, it means, you remember in this photograph, in this, all the ants started to follow same path. It means now it's reached at the solution. Now the solution has reached, and this is your optimal solution. So we will check if all the ants are following the same path. No, here this is the one ant, this is the one ant, means best and worst are different, or these are the different paths, means these solutions are different. If your solutions are, all solutions are same, if all solutions are same, then you will say that you have reached to the solution, you have reached to the optimal solution, and you will stop the algorithm and will declare that this is your solution, right? But since here the solutions are different, and therefore we will move to the next iteration. And how to move to the next iteration? For the next iteration, we need to update the pheromone. I'm sorry, Kusum, I'm sorry, time is already up, but I need to take 10 more minutes to complete this, right? I hope there is no further lecture after this, right? So I'll take this liberty to continue.
No.
Is it okay? And please participate yes. With me, right? Of course, these are the online classes, right? So online lectures, anybody can leave anytime, anybody can join anytime. Okay, so here we need to update the pheromone. How to update that pheromone? Based on this equation. So in the beginning of iteration 1, we assume that equal pheromone, and now iteration 1 or iteration 0, whatever you want to call that initial, but now we need to update the pheromone, and pheromone is updated based on this formula, and this formula has 2 terms, this and this. This term, the first term, is related to evaporation, and this term is related to deposition of pheromone. This term is related to deposition of pheromone, and this term is related to evaporation of the pheromone, and both continue simultaneously. Both process continue simultaneously. Remember that ants are moving also, and pheromones are evaporating also, and therefore we are using these both terms simultaneously. So the new pheromone is equal to, remember, now look, let me explain this formula. New pheromone will be equal to the old pheromone, and old pheromone will not remain as it is. It will be evaporated, means minus something of old pheromone minus some pheromone, right? So how to do that? Minus some, a part of this pheromone is evaporated. Part of pheromone means times pheromone. So some number which is less than 1. With some number which is less than 1 means 50% part, 30% part, 40% part, whatever the number. So that you remember, if you remember, I mentioned earlier the evaporation rate. What is the evaporation rate? So this number and this row must be less than 1, that 90% pheromone can evaporate. So what we have taken, 0.5. Let me tell you, this 0.5 is obtained after a lot of experiments. So it is a good number, but 0.4, 0.5, somewhere in between, it works very good. So this is your this becomes your tau and 1 minus rho. So here I think now this first term is clear. This is the old pheromone after evaporation, but not only evaporates, if evaporation happens, more and more ants are also coming, so the deposition also is occurring simultaneously, and this is the is the amount of pheromone that is deposited. So how this amount of pheromone, tau ij, delta tau ij is the amount of pheromone if ith path, if ith variable has chosen jth variable, right? Means ijth path, you may call it ijth path, right? So delta tau ij, there are many paths, every path has different pheromone. There are many paths, these are the many paths, these are many paths, and I have every path has different pheromone, and out of which every path, every ant is going to deposit also more and more path, sorry, more and more pheromone it will deposit, and the sum of this term is sum of the pheromones that is deposited on the ijth path by the kth ant. Kth is the ant number, by the kth ant. Now actually who will be this kth ant, and can we take all the ants? Can we allow all the ants to influence the other ants? Are you getting my point? Can we allow all the ants? Can we allow all the ants to influence the other? Means can we allow all the ants to put the pheromone? Means here the ant who has chosen the longer path, this is the worst ant. I hope you remember, you just have calculated the worst ant, and the one ant which has chosen this shortest path. So this is your best ant. So a common sense says to me that let worst ants not influence others. Let worst people should not influence others, right? So let worst ants should not deposit the pheromone on the path. Whenever this worst ant is moving here or is coming here, next time it has no experience of the shortest path. So whenever this path is sees depositing more pheromone, she should not be given the chance to deposit more pheromone. It is same like if a student is worst, if a student is not good in studies, let him not take admission in IITs, right? Let the best students should influence others. Let the best leaders should lead the country, or let the best leaders should lead the company. So similarly here this K, theoretically there is no problem. Theoretically there is no problem if you say that K equal to 1 to 5. All the ants can influence the others. Theoretically there is no problem, but unnecessarily you are increasing the computational time of your algorithm, and therefore let not all the ants should influence other. Let only the best ant should influence the others, and therefore instead of sigma you can keep only one aunt, or you can keep, suppose, two best aunts, top two aunts, top three aunts, whatever you want, right? So this is up to the user. So for time being, I have taken only one, the best aunt, right? I have taken only the one best aunt, right? Just for simplicity, I have taken only this one best aunt. So here, this now in this, that is my formula will become tau, new tau equal to the old tau with evaporation plus delta tau, and this tau is of the best aunt. This tau is of the best aunt. Let me not write in subscript, because in subscript I'm writing that. Let me write it here, of the best aunt, and this kth is the best aunt, right? Now, how to calculate this delta tau means what amount of pheromone each aunt is allowed to deposit. Initially, if you remember, the amount of pheromone was 1. Now, what should be 1 plus what? The new pheromone. How to, what amount of pheromone is allowed? What amount of pheromone is allowed? So that is your, I'm trying my best to be fast, right? I understand. So this delta tau is equal to, the formula is Q, a constant, a parameter, which is the user parameter, multiplied by F best, means the best function value divided by F worst, right? F best and F worst, right? What I hope you understand, that now this formula is very intelligently designed. Let me tell you the use of this formula quickly. And this value of this Q is obtained. It's a parameter, user defined parameter, and the value of this is 2, Q equal to 2. So now you can understand that F best and F worst, like F best and F worst. You tell me what will happen if F best and F worst become very close. Means most of the paths are very close to each other. Most of the aunts are very close to each other. They are almost on the verge of finding the shortest path, right? What will this happen? This ratio will tends to 1. I hope you understand. This ratio will tends to 1 if F best is almost or close to the F worst or equal to F worst. So when F best tends to F worst, this ratio tends to 1. It means this delta tau tends to 2, right? Because Q equal to 2. So in this, initially this value will be smaller. This value will be smaller. It means the delta tau will be larger. Initially, this F best and large, this initially when the difference, this difference is large. Initially, this difference is large. This ratio is small, and if this ratio is small, so the Q into F best by F worst is also small. It means what I want to say, when initially aunts are not much aware of the shortest path. Initially they are just exploring, and out of many choices they are giving their best, whatever the initial best they are giving. So don't go with too much confidence to those paths, right? It means the influence should not be too much, right, initially. So when the difference is much, the influence is less. Influence in terms of amount of pheromone that is deposited. So influence is less. It means less pheromone is added. Initially, less pheromone is added. As soon as more and more iterations goes on, then F best and F worst becomes close, and more pheromone amount will keep on increasing. So means the amount of pheromone is proportional to the iterations also, right? So when this tends to 1, it tends to Q equal to 0. So this property of pheromone deposition assures that in early iterations less pheromone is deposited to avoid this stagnation to the suboptimal solution, right? So if in initial iterations, if too much pheromone is deposited, then some suboptimal solution or some even longer path can be selected. And so to avoid that, initially less pheromone is deposited, and in later iterations more and more pheromone is deposited. Okay. Now finally this will be your pheromone update formula for best aunt. Now just quickly one more thing, that I told you that only the best aunt is allowed to deposit the pheromone, and only the best aunt is not allowed to evaporate the pheromone. The evaporation for the best aunt is not allowed, right? In the real life, it doesn't happen. But let us customize the real life situation for our algorithm. You can, of course, can keep here also. There is no harm. This is, I'm not telling that this is the only formula. You can keep this formula as tau 1 minus rho plus delta tau, right? So this, instead of only for the best aunt, you can keep it for the top two aunts, you can keep it for all aunts, you can evaporate for best aunt also, but just for speed of the algorithm, let best aunt is not evaporating. When you will, I can make an analogy with, there is an algorithm, biography based optimization, BBO. So in that algorithm, what happens, the elitism, you have attended that genetic algorithm, right? I think genetic algorithm you have attended. So in genetic algorithm, there is an operator elitism. What the elitism assures that let best solutions should not be altered, right? Let best solutions should not be affected by the worst solutions, and therefore you keep some solutions intact. You do not take, they do not take part in the crossover and mutation. That is called the elitism. So similarly here, let the best aunts should not evaporate. Let the best path should not evaporate, right? So I have taken the coefficient 1. I have not taken 1 minus rho. I am not reducing the pheromone on this path. I am keeping the pheromone as it is, just adding extra pheromone because it is a best aunt and it is allowed to add. And for other aunts, only the evaporation, no deposition, right? You can allow some deposition to those aunts also, no problem. This is not theoretically wrong. You can keep it, but just to avoid that wrong people are influencing the right people or wrong people are influencing the others. So to avoid that situation, let not these other aunts influence the other aunts, right? Which are not best aunts, should not influence other aunts, and therefore only the evaporation part is there for other aunts. So let me just quickly tell you now the new pheromone amount. Just put all these values here. Here in this case, what you will do, for, I hope you remember this, the best aunt was, which was the best aunt? Fifth one. This fifth one was the best aunt, right? So best solution is this fifth to 1.2, right? This is your best solution. So here, tau 1j and j equal to 2 to 5. I hope you remember this. This 2, sorry, what was 2 comma 1.2, sorry, 2 comma 1.2 is the best solution. So this x1, if x1 equal to first part, this is your, if you remember in this set, this is the first solution, right? So this j equal to 1, j equal to 1 is the best solution. And for second variable, j equal to okay, for second solution also j equal to 1. For second solution also j equal to 1. Here in the search space, you can see this is the best solution and this is, so 2 and comma 1.2 is the best solution, and therefore j equal to 1, and for I equal to 1, j equal to 1, for I equal to 2 also j equal to 1, right? So when I equal to 1 means tau 1j, for j equal to 2 to 5, they will be updated using this formula 1 minus rho multiplied by tau ij. I hope you understand. They will only evaporate. They will only evaporate. While for second, for j equal to, for I equal to 2 also, j equal to 2, 3, 4 means for 1, 1, they will use this formula, means they will deposit, means evaporation is 0. Evaporation is 0. They will only deposit. And how this formula? Q multiplied by F best divided by F worst. And they will calculate this tau 1, 1, tau 2, 1. So they will, for this is for the best coordinates, and this is for the other coordinates, right? And then you have calculated the new pheromones. Now you see initially you have divided this Rowlett wheel into equal parts, but now the pheromone amount is different. So you will not divide this in equal parts. Now one solution is better than others, and therefore you may say that okay, if this solution is better, it will be given more probability, right? And therefore the new probabilities are calculated using the same formula. So for tau 1j, you can see this is your 0.5 divided by the sum of the tau ij's. You can see here. So it is your 0.19. This now the values are different. You can see here these values are different, right? So, and for other, this is this and this is this part. So here you can see the rangeage. Here you can see the rangeage. This difference is 0.36, while this difference is 0.15, while this difference is 0.15. So in all these, the difference is 0.15, while here the difference is 0.36. Means you have given the more area, more choice, more probability, means more chances for ants to move to this path. Similarly here, this part is have more area, more part, while these has this 0.1893, right? And then again we will generate some 10 random numbers. We will generate again 10 random numbers, and again we'll choose the values. These are the next set of solutions, and here you can see now the two ants are moving on the same path. Now I told you that we will stop this algorithm when all the ants will keep on moving on the same path. So here only two ants are moving on the same path, and therefore we will not stop here still. But now you can see that the best path is chosen by two ants. Now you just imagine, if the two ants are moving on the same path, then the amount of pheromone that is deposited on that best path will keep on increasing, because the pheromone is not evaporating, it is just depositing. Now two ants are depositing on that path. So just imagine in the next iteration, more ants will join on this path, because the area of this, in this roulette wheel, the area of this path will keep on increasing, and one time what will happen, all the area will be taken by only this path, right? And here you can see the F bust and F best. You can see here that the difference is less. Now the difference is less. Now this ratio will become small. This difference ratio will become large. Sorry, this difference is less, so ratio will become large. Now here you can see this is the best path, worst path, and two ants are here. Now the two ants are here on this best path. That's all from my side. So now we check whether the algorithm has converged. So let me tell you that it's still not converged. Only two ants are moving on this path, other ants are not moving. So since all the ants are still not following the same path, therefore we will continue the same process. We will again modify these solutions using the same process. And that's all from my side. And now I'm okay for taking the questions. If there are questions, I have taken 25.
Sir, for real life problems, how to decide? For example, it is a traveling salesman problem. So there will be multiple solutions present. Then how to decide x1, x2, and how to decide tau, and especially the function x square plus x1 square plus x2 square. How to decide?
Madam, I got your point. Let me just quickly tell you. Suppose this is a traveling salesman problem. So here, this is your one solution, A, B. However, I have let me call it D, right? So A, D, C. A, D, C, B is one. So this is your first solution. You may call this some value. You may define it by some numerical value or something, and then this may be one path, A, C, B. You may define with some value. Or define in some value in terms of some weights. This may be some weight. Suppose 1, 2, 2.1, 3, 4. Now this value may be ADCB value, may be the sum of these weights. I hope you understand this. Similarly, this is there. So this length. This may be the length. So you can define. These are the.
So maybe some total length of path length can be considered as.
Yes. So path length may be the numerical value, or it is not necessary that you consider only the path length. The problem may be in some other terms. For example, the complexity of the path. It may not be the length. You know, in Google Map, this path when you find the path from point A to point B, it depends upon many factors. It is not only from the distance. It depends, this finding shortest path may be the function of many variables, not only the distance. It may be the function of the traffic jam on that. It may be the function of the toll rate. It may be the function of the safety on that path. So 4 points may be there. So you can make the combined combination of that. It means suppose the path length is 4, so you are giving some weight. Suppose path length is not a problem for me. I get the diesel free, right? So I can travel any much, but I need minimum toll rate, right? So toll rate suppose is 1000 rupees, and you say that okay, I have the 70% weight to my toll rate, right? So 1000 rupees as this, and then maybe the traffic. So traffic is too much. Suppose the traffic is represented in numerical values from 1 to 10. So 1 to 10 is scale. So suppose the traffic is 8, and for me traffic is not a problem. So suppose this weight I have given. Now this is the weight to this path. Now this is the weight to this path. So I'm not just mentioning that the length is the only weight. This weight maybe depends upon you. So similarly, like Google Map doesn't work only on the length. It depends upon many factors, and how that factor is calculated like this. And you can, this algorithm, the Google pathfinding algorithm, can be altered. I don't know in Google Map this facility is there, but many other gives that how much weight you want to, means you want to prefer these time or the distance or the toll. These options you can change. If you say that I need the toll free, right, then of course this weight is highest. This weight is highest means I need the traffic free. It means for the traffic I have given the highest weight, and for this means length may be anything, right? So it depends that how much weight you are giving to which factor, and accordingly the weight to the paths, this may be W1 and this may be W2, right? And accordingly these values, it may be, for example, this I have taken 2.1, 2.93. So this may be the weights. This may be the weights to these paths, right? And I have to choose the optimal path according to my situation. So that's the real world situation. I think in PSO I mentioned about this, that ant colony optimization is best for the robotic path planning problems. Like this point A, here is the point B, and then there are many paths available. There may be some obstacles. So so avoiding these obstacles, the robot has to reach from point A to point B. And for that purpose, this ant colony optimization algorithm is a good choice, right? So there are many real world applications. Yes, one more thing, please don't get confused that ASIO can also apply for the continuous optimization problems. We need to modify this algorithm. We need to customize for the continuous optimization problems. Of course, that is a matter for another kind of lectures. That is a different, but this version is known as ASIO R. You can just Google this ASIO for real valued problems, right? So ASIO R version is also available. Now you know the basics, so you can explore by yourself also, right? Okay. Any other question?
Sir, the function that is decided, like x square plus y square, is it that we have to randomly decide, or like in neural network there are multiple activation known functions, that way these functions are there, or how this function is decided?
You are talking about this?
Yes, f of x that we have decided.
Madam, I'm sorry, but it means you have not understood the concept of optimization problem. This is the problem which we want to solve, and this problem depends upon the user, which problem you are giving me, right? Which problem you are giving me. This problem may be 2x1 plus x2 square also. So this is the problem which we are solving, right? This is not randomly.
So for traveling salesman problem, that type of equation we are making and then solving, like various parameters. So I have to make some equation.
No need to make these kind of solutions. Actually, in for traveling salesman problem, suppose these are your solutions. These are your solutions, function values. Then suppose this is the length of the paths. Suppose if these are the length of the path, then you can say that this is the best solution. Whichever is the minimum is your best solution. But if you are suppose interested, you are explorer. Suppose you are an explorer and you want to go from, you want to maximize the length of the path, then you can take this as the best. Depends upon how you are defining your problem. So there is no need to define any kind of function for the traveling salesman problem. For if this is a traveling salesman problem, suppose, then this is my best solution and this is my worst solution. If suppose this is my profit maximization problem, then this is my best solution and this is my worst solution, my best, if it is a maximization problem. So depends upon how we define the problem, right?
Okay.
Any other question or?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Anjali. Thank you.
So, hello.
Yeah. Yes, please.
Hello. Hello, namaskar, sir. Sir, I think I heard a lot of things, and that was great lectures, and we learned a lot of things because I am teaching right now intelligent control, and I have gone through all such whatever you have discussed in these lectures. But my point is that, sir, if it is possible, then that would be good for us, some more examples, because we learn a lot, but in real world have much problems. If I'm going to solve it, then we are encountering a lot of problems, how to integrate, how to do. So in that situations, how can I go for new problems? How can I do something new for that? So this is already, this is the standard examples, and you are considering and doing something. And if I'm going to for something new, then how can I start like that?
You have to explore. If something new is there, then that can never be the part of the lectures, because that is always a part of the research papers, and it is not that easy for a new problems to propose. First of all, to propose the problem and then to solve, because the new real world problems can never be solved using the hand, and that can never be explained on this paper. Those are actually for the computer implementation. Therefore, we took this very simple example. This is not the standard example.
Fundamental.
This is the example. This is one very simple example, and this is not the target of solving. The target of ACO is not to solve the problems of like this. This is just, I have taken the one very toy kind of example for explanation of how this ACO works. Now you need to define
fundamentals. I mean, yeah, thank you, sir. Fundamental, I think, yeah.
Your own, and you follow the same procedure for that problem, right? And since you are working in control, I think in control, a lot of discrete optimization problems are there. Means scheduling problems are there. So in those kind of problems, you can always apply the colony optimization algorithm. But let me tell you, for applying this algorithm, remember, nobody is going to give you a ready-made solution, or nobody is going to give you a tool that, okay, this is a tool, you just use it, and you have a problem, you need to use this tool. If you have a problem, you need to convert this problem. You need to define the problem. Means you need to define the problem in terms of in such a way that it can be solved using ant colony optimization. And therefore, for that, you need to define these variables, these possible values. That if I have, suppose I want to schedule my classes. Suppose I want to schedule the classes to the teachers, right? Classes to the teachers. So classes are, suppose teachers are 1 to 10 and classes are 1 to 50. A to suppose Z. Suppose classes are A to Z. Then what first teacher is assigned to A or Z, suppose P. These three classes, the one teacher is assigned to these three classes. This one teacher is assigned. So this is the one solution. So how I can define this solution? 1 APZ, 1 APZ. This may be my one solution, right? So, and another solution. So this is the way how the solutions are defined. Now, this is up to you that out of these you need to find out an optimal solution. So actually the major challenge for the researchers to define their problem in terms of an optimization problem, right? And this nobody else can do, only you can do if you have a problem, because you can only understand all the aspects of that problem. And therefore the modeling person, any person who is modeling, either you explain all those aspects to that person, then he or she can model. Otherwise the best way that you model and you try to understand that how the problems are modeled, other problems are modeled. I hope I answered your question.
Sir,
Yeah, thank you so much.
sir, I think that is what I was thinking, that every time I was thinking that I have to make some equation like x square plus y square, but it is not so. I have to first find out various options, and like for various, for neural network, various hyperparameters I can find, and I will get multiple solutions. And these solutions I can use for optimization purpose. So that is the problem. So I have to define how it can be made optimal.
Suppose there are two variables, x1 and x2, right? There are two variables, x1 and x2, and I want that these x1 and x2 are selected in such a way that the sum of these is less or is maximum. Then this is my function. Or if this is the case, then this is my function. So you need to define your function by your own. Or there may be a case that, okay, I will this is my problem, or you can say that this is my problem, or you can say that this is my problem, whatever the way you define your problem, right?
Got it, sir.
For example,
This
traveling
is very important. This is most important.
So, and this can be done only by the user, right? Only by the user. And means whatever the problem you have, you need to define, and that can be tackled by Ant colony optimization algorithm. So I took a very simple example just for the working of the Ant colony optimization algorithm to explain the work.
Sir, any book you can suggest for detailed reading of this?
Actually, there is no single book on SEO, but I found there's a book by.
There is no book.
No, there are. Devoted to Ant colony optimization, there is no book, but I found there is a book, Computational Intelligence, by Andres Engelbrecht. Right. So this book I found good, but it is for PSO and it's a large book and for many algorithms. I found it very good, but I suggest you strongly that you just go ahead with the internet sources. There are many internet sources, many Wikipedia and other things are there. So from there you can understand. And of course, these notes I will share with you. I tried my best to put it as simple way as possible, right? And
yes,
all things I have explained.
Many ideas were there were a lot of confusions. But
yeah, and
they have
other things,
now.
At every step I have explained here in the text.
Yes,
right?
sir. Very nicely explained, sir.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So is it okay or any other question? Otherwise, let's finish.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Yeah.
Sir, my sincere request is, can you please share both the PPT as well as recording?
I have already shared my previous lecture slides, and this immediately just after disconnecting, I will share. That's my habit. No problem.
Recording also, sir, is it possible?
Recording depends upon the organizer. So please request with the organizer, because I'm not the host of this event, so I don't have the recording.
Okay, sir. Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for full attention and encouraging words. Thank you very much. Kusum, should I disconnect now?
Thank you so much, sir, for accepting our invitation and being a part of this workshop. Each time, whenever you taught us, whenever I'm going to learn so many things in our PhD demo. From that time, I'm learning from you.
Yeah, thank you, Kusum, and it's always my pleasure to have the students like you who are excelling in your career, and I've seen the papers that you are writing. So actually, that's a proud to any teacher. Good. Keep on doing a good work. Thank you all.
Thank you. Okay, there is so much confusion regarding your feedback. So basically, we are not going to provide any separate link for your feedback. Just you need to log in into your portal account. At that place only you will find the feedback. So at your account only you are able to submit the feedback. Go to your account, explore it. You will find the link for your feedback.
Madam, every day, madam, sorry, every day can we fill or on last?
No, that just at the end of the session you need to complete it.
Every day at the end of the session?
No, at the end of the whole FDP. Once
FDP, okay.
So after that you can do it. And the question was regarding your PPT. So PPT I have already shared. Means whatever PPT I'm getting. So at the same time I'm going to upload it. So just go to your Canvas account. There is a tab related to your file. Go to your file. From there you are able to download it.
Okay, madam. Madam,
And
what about recording? Is it possible to share?
I'm coming to that point. I'm coming to wait. I'm coming to that point. And I have also shared recording. The link I have shared, I mean Google Drive link I have already shared in the same Canvas platform. So from there you can get it. Okay. Is there any confusion really other than this the recording?
Only 2 lectures you have shared, madam.
Yes. Basically, I have received only these 2 lectures only. So that's
Okay.
once I will receive it, I will upload it at the same time. Don't worry.
Okay. Thank you.
Madam, today session very informative. This was. Please upload the recording, madam.
Yes.
Because every time we cannot keep everything in mind, so some things we can.
I have uploaded. Means I am going not. I haven't uploaded this session, but I have uploaded the previous one. So just
Okay.
go to your announcement section. There you will find the link.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. So any other question related to any of the aspects?
No, madam. Thank you. Can we leave now?
Okay.
Thank you.
Madam, what about our attendance? Are you uploading that attendance to Atal portal?
Yes. We are uploading it.
So I have checked it today, but it is not been updated in that case. I have seen.
Basically,
So are you updating daily or is it at the end of the FDP?
Yes. Basically, we have uploaded for your first day and for this 29th and yes, this 30th and 30th, this 31st one, first and second. Once I will complete it, then it is allowing to submit it. So these 4 days, first I need to collect it and then I only can submit it. So means
Okay.
it means possibly they have changed their policy, I think so. I don't know, because they are not allowing to submit it once I will have the attendance of your all 4 days, means remaining 4 days. So after that only I can submit it.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So you need to have 80% attendance and 60% marks in your exam
Yeah.
in order to
So will it be MCQ type of exam
What?
or what?
I'm not getting you. What are you asking?
What type of exam will it be?
It's going to be
MCQ type
objective.
exam?
That also we have covered in your very first session. It's going to be your objective questions, and that to be of around 30 minutes. And there will be 25 question. Each is going to be of 4 marks.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
So if there is no, so is there any other questions? Okay. So meet you all tomorrow at 10 o'clock. Okay. Good day.
When the exam will be on the last day, in the afternoon session or morning session only?